Hello, this is Eldoric the Guardian Tank here with tanking your first instance. Now, if you notice, I am not quite at the level to use the Dungeon Finder. That begins at level 15. I'm at level 10. What I'm about to do is begin the first process to becoming a tank. Now, as you can see, I'm about to pick up Parry, which is a form of avoidance, and defensive stance as a warrior. Now, all warriors get this, but there are two things you really must have before you can start tanking. So, the first step made as a tank right here. Now, I'm transferring over to defensive stance, which reduces all damage by 10%. And now I'm going to go into the talent trees. Now, you can see arms, fury, and of course, protection. Shield slam, which basically is just a big hit, shares cooldown with the other primary abilities like moral strike, is now going to be an option. Sentinel, very important ability, increases my block by 15% and my stamina. So a critical thing for any good warrior tank. Of course, vigilance, which can be talked about later. Just builds your AP while you get hit. Now I have an option between of what I can pick here initially. I'm going to go ahead and start by picking up the very important Blood and Thunder. By the time I actually hit the dungeon, though, I will have Toughness and Blood and Thunder pretty much good to go. So that'd be great. Give a little cheer. So that is the beginning process of choosing the tank, getting them ready to begin the process of moving into it. Now, you notice I have a shield now, have that equipped, and I have my shield slam ability. And now, if you notice, I'm moving it all the way over there. I'm mimicking the what I have on my 85 warrior, just, you know, because I use key bindings, it makes it muscle memory a little bit less of a pain. Move to a couple of important abilities, because every time you switch a stance, you get a new action bar that you have to set up. Okay, and you can see I just picked up one of my other weapons. Now, I am using heirlooms, because I'm trying to level this guy quickly, and it's pretty good gear, especially at low level. You can see that in there. So, there's the basics to starting out, and now we're going to have to move into the dungeon. Alright, to move into the dungeon, we're going to use the Dungeon Finder. You see the toolbar right down there. Going to queue up as a tank, and here's what I have for a spec. Still 1 point behind in toughness, but that's okay, and I got all Blood and Thunder, so AoE threat should not be a problem for this young Turn Warrior tank. Here's the abilities that I have. I do have Charge. I do not have Warbringer, so I have to be in battle stance to use that. I got my Thunderclap. I have my Rend. I have my Heroic Strike. I have my Taunt. I have everything I need. So I'm going to click here as a tank, willing to be the leader. Like always, you're going to do it anyway, so might as well. And click the button. Oh, instant Q. The great thing about being a tank. If you're originally DPS and you just saw that, it's pretty amazing. Now I'm just going to have to wait for the healer, and there we go. Moving into Dead Mines, excellent. I haven't ran the old Dead Mines forever. Ran the heroic version quite a few times since Cataclysm came out. So we're just going to load in here. Adjust my omen. There we go. That's where I like to nestle my omen. Keeps it right in front of me. Oh, and everyone's saying hi. They're going to be real polite. Looks like a good bunch of DPS horde here. We're going to move down. Now, everyone's going to grab the quest. Now, they're located inside the dungeon, which is phenomenal if you want to level using the Dungeon Finder. So, even though I'm probably never going to turn these in, I'm going to go ahead and collect them. And the first one's to down the first boss in here. So, pretty simple quest line to follow. Alright, now, since I'm the tank, I'll be moving out to the front. Okay, I'll let everyone get to me so they see where I'm going. Remember, very new group. Maybe someone very new who doesn't know the dungeon. Gotta keep that in mind. There's the first mob that I'm going to look at. Now, I'm choosing not to charge in. I don't want to stand stance. I'm going to keep it simple. The scope and tack. Now, I'm going to use a Rend. I'm going to use the abilities I have. Shield Slam, Thunderclap. You get the debuff, the 10% reduction, that, so, or 20% reduction in speed, so you want to use that. There you go, and he's down. Pretty easy as a first pull. Now I'm going to pull him over to me. Now we have more than one mob run up. Thunderclap. Now I did that before I rented because I wanted to get threat on everything. Now I hit Thunderclap again. I got Blood and Thunder to put Rend on everything. So I got good, solid threat. Now I'm keeping an eye on my health here, and I'm keeping an eye on the mana of my healer. Do not want to overstep that healer. Okay, we had an accidental pull. Not a big deal. I have to establish threat as quickly as I can. Identify the primary target. When in doubt, caster goes down first. But sometimes going with the largest mob is a good idea too, since most people tend to click on that. Now I marked it with the skull, so everyone would know that was the target we are going at. So we would have split threat. Very, very easy. Remember, number one thing for me to do in that situation was to establish threat. So the rest of the group didn't have to worry about a thing. Now we're going to go ahead, collect up our fat loot. Oh, I got a potion. Going to keep that handy. Another ability I have down there is Victory Rush, which is a good ability. Heals. It makes leveling as a warrior protection spec very, very nice. Or leveling as a warrior in general. It used to be very painful. Okay, big group here. Okay, I got my rend out. Got my thunderclap out. Got all that pain out. Now I'm going to be taking a fair bit of damage here. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on my health. Now, we are killing those Furbergs pretty easy, or Kobolds rather. So if you keep seeing, I get that proc for impending victory, which I can use to heal myself for a good chunk. Help that healer out. Now, I got to keep my eye on the healer. I'm marking. I'm using the standard UI. I have them hotkeyed, but using the standard UI, that's how you do it. And I'm taking on these two bigger mobs. Now, they're going to be doing more damage than the little guys, so I need to keep my eye on them. Now, I'm taking pretty good hits of damage if you watch my health bar, but the healer is keeping up with it. Now, at this level, there's not a ton I can do to contribute to my overall survivability. What I need to do is try to push out as much damage as I can to keep the threat and to down the mob. Okay, getting a little low. I do have my potion I can use. Think of potions are very useful initially. Okay, and I use my Victory Rush. And see how much my health went up. Very good ability. Now as a paladin, you're going to have something like Word of Glory that you can use. If you can help out your healer, do it. It's your responsibility to try to survive and not overpull. Okay, we got the first boss here. Pretty easy boss. Not going to be a problem. Now I don't really have to describe what's going on. It's fairly tank and spank. But I would. Now I'm taking a look at my healer and I'm going to set them to focus. See how I did that? Now I can clearly see my healer. This is a good raid technique if you want to plug in for your other tank. I told everyone I'm pulling, so everyone knows. Now the rogue got ahead of me, so I need to establish threat. So I'll use some big threat moves initially, get that back on me, move through all my abilities. At this level, I'm basically using everything all the time. There's not a lot of strategy to my moves, but that's okay. You know, it's supposed to be simple the first dungeon you do. Now, he, of course, zips around. I just got to reestablish threat. Very, very simple. Very, very easy. So you should not fear your first boss fight or your first instance. It's not rocket science. It's fairly easy. It's all about control. Now, you can't contribute to your survivability beyond gearing too much at this level. So your main thing is holding that threat, which, as you can see by my omen, it's the little tan box down there. It's an add-on. It's telling me I'm way ahead of everyone on threat. So, got a good solid lead. Now I need to push out all the damage I can. Still got my potion if I need it, but the healer's pretty good for this level and it's keeping up with it. Okay, we're moving into another phase. I'm going to stay up tight. I'm going to continue hammering away. That's actually a pretty cool animation. Now we have zones that I'm going to have to avoid. I'm going to see them. Not too hard for any veteran player, but a new player may have a little confusion or maybe hectic for them. Now I'm just going to keep myself out of damage. Okay. Not too hard. DPS seem to be doing a great job. They're taking no real damage, which means they're on top of their own survivability, so the healer can focus on me. Okay, now I move again. Got an aura underneath me. Generally, if something spawns underneath you, you should move. Like that. There you go. Plenty of rage. Resources good. So I'm just running through my rotation, working on this boss. Very simple for the first time you go through it. Okay. Looks like this guy's about to go down. A few more whacks. DPS just needs to hammer him a teeny bit more. And what do we have here? We have a down boss, of course. He does this little animation thing, but he has a cool death. Okay. Well, that's basically running through your first boss. Now, you should not fear doing an instance as a low level. They're intentionally built to be simple for you. Now, if they were very, very hard, then then that would defeat the point of having a low-level instance, to be honest with you. So I'm going to keep going here. I just want to show you some precision pulling. Now, I mark a target with the skull, almost universally thought to be the primary target. I'm using a taunt to pull, which is okay at this level. My objective was to move him out of all those monkeys. So how I did that? Now, I'm getting a bit of an effect here from the tunnel bunny. Not a big deal. Not to worry. So I'm just holding these two mobs right here. Now, I could have taunted, moved behind the door, and that would have forced the mob to come and follow me around the door because they couldn't see me. I would have been out of line of sight, hence a line of sight pull. Very good for casters that you want to move to you if you don't have a ranged silence, which you generally don't get until later on. Only a paladin really has it initially. So we downed this mob. Everyone knew what to attack. If there was any confusion, I could easily explain it, like skull first and then X. So good stuff. We had someone disconnect there, so happens. All right, well, that's our first dungeon. Dance with joy that we did it. Congratulations. All right, well, that's pretty much running your first dungeon. Now, if you're a new player to the game, don't be afraid, or you're leveling a tomb for the first time. Remember, it's all about control and maintaining threat initially. As you get more survival abilities, like cooldowns, well, you'll start to integrate those in and use them, and it will become very clear. The most important thing you can take away is don't worry too much. Enjoy the run, enjoy your instant queues, and enjoy tanking. So until next time, this is Eldoric, the Guardian Tank, and tank wisely.